goals while accepting the US Gaza peace plan. He also warns that Hamas may try to avoid implementing it. SARS hopes for hostage release and a demilitarized Gaza.
President Trump's plan for ending the war in Gaza and for a better future. It shouldn't surprise anyone because we always wanted to end this war. We always said that we are committed to the goals that we set, but we prefer to achieve them through diplomatic means. Today, too, we are committed to these goals, as set by our Security Cabinet. The one who refused to end the war until now is also the one that initiated it on October 7th, Hamas. And Hamas is solely responsible for its continuation since then and for the suffering of both Israelis and Palestinians during the past 2 years.
All right, I'm being joined by Yossi Cooper-Vass. Yossi, thank you very much for joining us on NewsX World. And of course, you know, the foreign minister of Israel right now is in Serbia. He's meeting his Serbian counterpart. But most importantly, these conflicting stances that are coming forth from within Netanyahu's cabinet. While we have a far-right leader, the finance minister Bezalel Smotrich, who goes about rejecting the 20-point peace plan that was announced by US President Donald Trump. We have the foreign minister and of course the prime minister of Israel, who have wholeheartedly supported and embraced the peace plan. Why do you think are there conflicting statements, conflicting ideologies within the government of Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, thank you for having me. We have a coalition government, and of course there are different opinions and different ideologies represented in the government. That's a democracy. And well, that's the kind of democracy we have, and that's the way we operate. I didn't think that what Smotrich said was opposing the plan. He has criticism of the plan, and he waits, I guess, for Prime Minister Netanyahu to come back and clarify the details of what was agreed upon. And his criticism is justified. There are many open questions that have to be answered, and we have to wait and see what are the details beyond the nice words of the communique that was published. I think that what we need to know is how we are going to guarantee that nobody would use violence against us in the future, instead of Israeli control of the security challenges. This is going to be in the hands of some Palestinian force that's going to be established. And this is a big question mark, but this is for later stages. And in the first stage of the war, of the implementation, Israel is going to be responsible for making sure that nothing of this kind is going to happen, and there's not going to be any attempt to use Gaza as a launching pad for terror in the future. We'll have to wait and see the details.
Also with regards to whether there is going to be acceptability from the Hamas side of the 20-point peace plan, keeping in mind that the only statement so far that has been released by the terrorist organization is that they're going to study it, they're going to review it, and then revert on it. Do you think this is likely to be yet another failed attempt by America and Israel to strike a deal? And this, like I said, you know, because I talk about it in such a fashion, being pragmatic and not really massively optimistic, being cautious as a matter of fact, because in the past as well, there have been times that the US president has announced a number of plans, but nothing really has come to fruition in terms of a peace deal.
Well, this time is a little bit different in several aspects. First of all, Israel is in the midst of a very large military operation against one of the last strongholds of Hamas. And if we are not going to be stopped by the acceptance of the plan by Hamas, we are going to continue with the full backing of the international community and even the Arabs and the Muslims in our effort to remove Hamas from power by force. So this is something totally different than the situation that prevailed until a couple of days ago, when there was a lot of criticism of what Israel was doing militarily in Gaza City. Now the tables are going to turn around, and Hamas has to take it into account. Secondly, there's a lot of pressure on Hamas now coming from Qatar and Turkey and Egypt, those who support Hamas until now, to accept the deal. And they issued a statement supporting the deal, supporting the plan. And it's an unprecedented situation for Hamas, and they are under a lot of pressure. I fully understand why they are not running to accept the deal, because it's a problematic deal from their point of view, giving up the control of Gaza, and most importantly, doing something that would put down the 7th of October in the history of the Palestinians, total failure and deep mistake, huge mistake. And this is something very difficult for Hamas to accept. But on the other hand, if they don't accept it, Israel is going to get the green light, not only from the United States, and the backing of the United States, but also the green light of the rest of the world to keep putting more pressure on Hamas and removing them from power by force. And this is something that Hamas has to take into account.
Right. Yossi, thank you very much for joining me on the telecast and sharing your views. Members of the Sumud Flotilla have slammed the US President Donald Trump's 20-point Gaza peace plan. They called the proposal an insult to human intelligence and dignity and a mockery of international law. The members also stated that Israel has violated international law and lacks legitimacy in any peace process. Earlier, Israeli Foreign Ministry accused the flotilla of having discovered Hamas documents revealing links between flotilla members and Hamas.
Trump's so-called peace plan is an insult to human intelligence and dignity and a blatant mockery of international law, as the UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese has clearly stated.
Israel has violated international law in its entirety and holds no legitimacy in any peace process. The only viable outcome for this genocidal regime is to be prosecuted by International Court of Justice and International Criminal Court.
In developments from Jerusalem, there are 3 people who were injured in a suspected car ramming terror attack at Al-Khadir Junction in the West Bank, south of Jerusalem. According to Megan David Adom Emergency Services, 2 victims are in good to moderate condition. Among the 3 injured, there is a 15-year-old boy seriously injured. Police say that the assailant was neutralized by security forces at the scene. A video of the aftermath shows men in plain clothes aiming weapons at a figure on the ground next to a car. The incident was initially reported as a shooting due to the gunfire at the attacker. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that Moscow